welcome to the Dynasty Defined podcast, a show discussing the most decorated program in the history of sports, the Oklahoma State Cowboys wrestling program. Today I'm joined by the two-time All-American Izzak Olejnik, now head coach of the Cowgirls wrestling program, to cover the events of the West Virginia Duel and look ahead at UNI and Iowa State duels this coming weekend. But first, I wanted to catch up with you, Izzak. How's life as the head coach of Cowgirls wrestling? How are your gals doing so
Good.
far this season?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've had we're kind of slowing down now in this part of our season. We had a real heavy front load schedule. We were wrestling in about six tournaments from November to December. So we kind of front loaded, and now we're kind of using this time right now, January, February, to just go out and recruit, going on, recruiting trips, hosting girls here, and really trying to build this thing up, and I think that we're doing a really good job of, that. And like you said, on this past Sunday with that West Virginia duel, able to wrestle a match in Gallagher, and that was awesome. Over 8,000 fans, and just trying to, continue to grow that, and hopefully in the future, be able to have full duels in Gallagher.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what is this recent news about the NCAA approving women's wrestling as a D1 sport or D1 championship?
Yeah.
What does that mean for uh, you guys moving forward? I know that there's complication. It's a
Mhm.
complicated
Yeah.
financial thing between the athletic department and the club and all this stuff, right? Ignoring that,
Yeah.
what does that mean for cowgirl wrestling?
Yeah, I mean it's great news. It's great news to hear. And like I said, I believe right now there's five Division 1, four right now, a fifth one coming, Division 1 programs. And with that, getting passed, that means that there's a need of more Division 1, women's programs. And like I said, not just for Oklahoma State, but for the rest of the country. It's really big news, and being able to just kind of put forth a squad. And like I said, ultimately the decision is up to the university athletic department and all that. But we can just keep producing, and going to tournaments, and like I said, just continue to have girls show out, and just kind of control what we can control. But ultimately it is up to the university. But like I said, I think it's, we're in a really good spot with where we are with cowgirl wrestling.
What kind of girls are you targeting to recruit so far? Is it mostly Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, or is it further flung than that? Or
Yeah, no,
kind of
we're
walk me through your
we're
recruiting process.
Yeah, so right now, like I said, we're all over. We're open. I went to back to California, and did a little recruiting there. My assistant coach, Coach Traub, he was in Ohio a couple weeks ago doing some recruiting. We've had, talks with girls from New York, Michigan, Texas, Kansas, California, Washington. We're all over. So it's we're open to literally everyone. So I think we're doing a really good job of going, and like I said, going to tournaments, Missouri, and we're looking to hit up a lot of state championships as well. And obviously, the close ones, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. But I think we're also going to venture out, Missouri, California, Ohio, all these tournaments. And we're dedicated, and we're actively recruiting. So I think that's super cool to see. And girls are excited about Oklahoma State. And there's a lot of buzz right now with not only the women's, but the men's as well too. So I think it's super super good for the university.
Yeah. What does your pitch look like today? I mean, how are you getting a girl to consider Oklahoma State and
Yeah,
think through her
yeah,
academics, the NCAA versus NWCA
yeah,
club situation, all of that?
yeah. Well, I think we're in a unique spot because if we're pitching, come be a part of something that is brand new. Come lead something that's brand new, right? Go be the first national qualifier. Go be the first national, NCAA All-American. Go be the first NCAA champion. I think that girls are super excited. And with talking with a lot of them, they're saying that Oklahoma State is their dream school, and they would love to come wrestle here. And so honestly, it's just being able to say, hey, like, if you're coming here, obviously right now we're at club status, but we're operating as if we are a Division I program. You know, our practices, we're going to tournaments, we're competing against Iowa, Life University, North Central, all these top schools. And like I said, we're just, you know, continue to grow, continue to level up. And, you know, I think just pitching to the girls like, hey, come be a part of, you know, this foundation that we're laying, and being able to, you know, start from the ground and kind of, you know, make our way up is I think super beneficial, and I think these girls are really excited to be a part of that.
That's amazing, Isaac. So what can Cowboy fans do for Cowgirls wrestling? How can we get more involved, whether that be in fundraising or
Yeah.
going to events? You know, help me get the message out there on how we can better support what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think just being able to support, you know, fundraising wise, and like I said, we have some plans, you know, in the future about hosting some fundraising events, and obviously just being able to either come out to those, or you know, being able to you know, donate something to the program, and just being able to kind of, you know, support, you know, Cowgirls on that side of things, and also, you know, like I said, having more opportunities to wrestle in front of, you know, the fans. You know, I think that's just getting, you know, getting that experience for our girls. And like I said, when we do these fundraising events, we hosted one in I believe it was September. It was beach wrestling, and you know, that was super cool. It was super early on, so um, it was not as big as, you know, we'd probably hope in the future. But I think, you know, when we do it, it was a super good turnout, and you know, we had a lot of fun doing it. So I think doing that in the future would definitely be beneficial. But just being able to, you know, support us through there. And like I said, we do have a website with we're trying to get this link switched, for we have donation sites on the website as well, cowgirlswrestling.com. But you know, being able to just go through there and just kind of stay up to date, following us on Instagram, and you know, being able to, you know, stay up with the program, and you know, that's just supporting in those kind of ways.
Amazing. How did the intermission exhibition match come about?
Yeah, so the video production team was able to, you know, they wanted to, you know, support, you know, the Calgary wrestling team, and you know, we had uh, a girl that we were supposed to wrestle, and she kind of pulled out, you know, last minute. And so thankfully, you know, Ottawa was able to come in, and like I said, that girl that we wrestled was really good. You know, she was you know, a top five girl in NAIA. So you know, it was just being able to, you know, get our program name out there, you know, let them know that, you know, this is serious. You know, we're serious about what we're doing here. And I just think it's a great experience for not only, you know, Oklahoma State or Calgary wrestling, but you know, women's wrestling in general. You know, I don't. There's a lot of men's programs that don't wrestle in front of 8,000 fans, and um, kind of was preaching that to our girls. You know, this is, you know, there's something to get used to. You know, I think that, you know, once this thing is up and going, I think that, you know, we there's no reason why we wouldn't be able to bring out, you know, 6, 7,000, 8,000 fans, you know, to a dual meet as well. So
Yeah,
this is, you know, Stillwater's a wrestling destination, and you know, it's no different for women's as well.
amazing. So, do you have any body looking at making NWCA's this year, or you know, how's that qualification work? Is it
Yes,
similar?
so we were offered to go into the NWCA, but for this year we didn't opt into it. You know, we're focusing. We have one more tournament in February, and then our focus is going to go to the team trials in Spokane, Washington.
Oh, nice.
And then, you know, our focus next year will be, you know, being able to complete a full season. We kind of joined a little late, so a lot of the tournaments and teams kind of already had some of their lineups or some of their schedules booked. So this next year, you know, we're planning on competing in a full schedule. You know, 8 or 9 tournaments and 5 or 6 dual meets as well. So you know, we're looking forward, you know, to next year and that full slate of schedule.
Amazing. Okay. Well, it's amazing that you took on this responsibility to help the club get on its feet and
Yeah,
be organized and you know run as an organization. So
yeah,
definitely can tell that you're helping them operate at a high level and that you're going to move these things forward. So
yeah.
really kudos to you on doing that. I know that it added on to your plate as you're still training and in school, right?
Yeah, yep, yep. So still fun though. I love being able to kind of time management and like I said, prep for practice and all that. And it's been cool to kind of handle all that.
Amazing. Well, as whatever we can do to support you guys, I'm excited about cowgirl wrestling. I know that it's been a long time coming here,
Yeah.
and when Cadence and those folks reached out, a couple of years ago as they were starting, it was
Hmm.
like, okay, yeah, how do we make this happen? And I'm glad
Yeah.
she got enough people, and I'm glad now we're at this point. That's
Yeah.
a pretty amazing trajectory there. So.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
this platform is always available to Cowgirls
Yeah.
Wrestling, 100%, as you know.
Yeah.
So
No, that's awesome. We appreciate
wonderful.
that.
Well, moving on to talk about the duel this past weekend against West Virginia. Um, I don't really know if we should go match by match. I don't think there's a lot to really take away from the duel, aside from West Virginia showed up and they were
Mhm.
ready to punch the big boys in the mouth, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. I think West Virginia, as a team, they're a scrappy team. And like I said, from top to bottom, they came to wrestle and um, like you said, it necessarily wasn't a surprise. A lot of the matches, I think they were just closer than maybe people had thought. But ultimately, for a lot of those matches, they swung Oklahoma State's way, and just kind of looking deeper into it, I think that um, they just had to wrestle a little tougher. I think that's kind of what it came down to. But like I said, West Virginia is a really scrappy team, and they definitely came to wrestle.
For sure. They've had a bit of a disappointing season. I do this Pin 12 podcast covering the whole conference and uh, keep an eye on West Virginia and
Yeah.
the Wyomings of the world, right? And it was looking at their lineup with Ty Waters in it before he was injured, you were definitely thinking, okay, they've got 4 or 5 qualifiers here, and they
Yeah.
could really be tough. But Ty Waters is out for the year at 149 pounds. That definitely was a big hurt for them. And then they've had a couple of guys really struggle here.
Yeah.
Um, Jordan Titus has really struggled this year, although he's as good a wrestler as there is at 141 pounds in the
Yeah.
conference. And then of course Peyton Hall, who you're
Yeah.
familiar with, is
Yeah.
looking like the Big 12 champion that he's always been kind of in that spot where you were. There was Keegan O'Toole,
Yeah.
David Carr, and
Yep.
then it was like, well, who's going to catch it? You can be a world beater, but those
Yeah.
two guys are just on that next kind of tier.
Yeah.
So how do you go sneak up on them? And he's a guy who took both of them down. I don't think there's very
Yeah.
many people who are in that camp.
Mm-mm.
Uh, he's waited his turn and he's there.
Yeah.
And I think for Cam Amin, he's going to need to figure out how to cut through Hall's defense
Yeah.
uh,
For sure.
primarily because
Yeah. And I think that matchup is, you know, that can go either way anytime they wrestle, right? I think that we kind of saw it at CKLV too. That's a one takedown match. It's strategic, but I think also that they're both very very good at defending shots and having Hall's got that limp knee. It's he's tough to score on and Amin when he wants he can go find a takedown. I think it's just being able to put that out there and consistently do it. But that match can go either way. So I think that'll be it makes for an exciting Big 12 tournament.
and you hope that's the Big 12 championship for
Yeah.
sure. Amin's going to have to do the same thing against Terrell Bearclaw there from
Yep.
Utah Valley. They're looking like they're going to be the 2-3 seeds. So
Yeah.
that's a semifinals matchup. If you can get through Bearclaw, exact same situation. That's a
Yep.
one takedown match. So
Yeah.
um, and then 174 up just continues to be a real murderer's row. I mean, that was
Yeah.
16 points from Hamity, Plott, and
Yeah.
Hendrickson alone. And then
Yeah.
those guys are on a different level, and Serber is
Yeah.
finding ways to win regardless without really putting much of his offense out there on
Yeah.
tape right now. So
Yeah, no, and I think that's one thing. It was mentioned that it was DJ was going into that match. I forgot who asked the question, but if he wrestled any different, knowing that this is the first time he was going in, and I think OSU was losing going in at like 12-11 going into his match, and he it doesn't matter if OSU is up by 30 or down by 30. He's going to go out and he's going to, always look for what he's looking for, and that's, scoring points. And like I said, I think he did a really good job of, a lot of guys aren't going to want to wrestle him, so it is probably will take a period to get going for him, but he's going to find his ankles, and it's he's a hammer on top as well. So a lot of times, his points come a little later, but they come in a hurry for sure.
When you and Hamity hit at the All-Star match and then at NCAA's last year, um, you're both so similar in the
Yeah,
way that you like to create space, create an opportunity to go grab an ankle and then finish a takedown.
yeah,
Um, how much are y'all still wrestling in the room on a
yeah,
on a practice basis?
yeah. We wrestle in the room. It's when we do wrestle, it's still there's almost no way of stopping him from getting to your leg. He's a guy who will continue to shoot, and like I said, he does it in a way where he's just putting a ton of pressure on you, and it's like, okay, you're either getting your leg, he's either getting your leg, or you're taking a bad shot and he's running behind. So we do scrap in the room still, and like I said, it's if that's a day, then you gotta you gotta be prepared for that. So
Yeah.
he's just getting better and better.
That's really good to hear because 174 is an interesting weight class.
Yeah,
There's a clear top three, and they're all new to the weight class. So
yeah, for sure.
you don't really know how they're going to all perform against each other. We
Yeah,
saw O'Toole and Haynes, but that was a
yeah,
tight match. So
yeah,
um, on that, coming in behind, I guess West Virginia was winning
yeah,
at the point of 174 starting. But that kind of goes back to 125 and Spratley getting pinned there. But he was really because he put himself in a position
yeah,
that he was going for broke
yeah,
effectively.
yeah,
How comfortable with this new coaching staff in this new environment are these guys to go take risks and wrestle a bit more loose and
yeah,
free without having to worry about, well, if I give up 6 points, I'm going to cost the team the duel.
yeah. And I think I think they're able to do that because of the trust they have in each other. I think that they all are in the practice room. They all are seeing how, they're working out, and, they're practicing, and, they practice like how they wrestle. That's a direct correlation from the practice room to the wrestling room. They're in there, they're scoring as many points as they can, in the room, and they're wrestling each other, right? So if they can do that in the practice room, 20 minute, whatever it is, they can do that for 7, 8, 9 minutes, in the match. So I think it's just trusting in one another. And like I said, just being able to go out there and picking someone up when they're down. Obviously that was an unfortunate thing that happened with Spratley, like you said, kind of going for broke there with the turn. But the rest of the team's going to pick him up. He's done the spark plug. He's been that guy for a while now, and sometimes you need a little pickup, and the last two matches, he's obviously wanted one of those back, but the team was able to kind of pick him up, and um just continue to flow, continue to just wrestle for 7 minutes scoring points.
And that's if there's anybody to not be worried about on in this
Yeah,
lineup, it's definitely Troy Spratley on for
yeah,
getting
for
things
sure.
quickly. So,
Yeah,
um, well, Oklahoma State picks up the dual win, 30-12. Not the cleanest duel of the season so
yeah,
far, but the schedule gets tougher from here as they're
yeah,
heading up to Iowa to take on Northern Iowa and Iowa State this weekend. First two dual weekend in a while.
yeah,
So you're going to have to keep your weight down on Saturday and weigh in on Sunday to take on a tough Iowa State team as well. But this UNI duel, they're number 5 in the country now, and it is you've had another number 5 team in NC State come through. You had another top 7 team in Virginia Tech come through, but Northern Iowa is a bit of a different beast
yeah,
this year coming in. They've got uh, two top 5 or 3 top 5 guys in their respective weight classes. They've got a really tough 197 pounder, and just up and down the lineup, they wrestle that Doug Schwab. He is a high pace, push you out.
Yeah.
They want it to be miserable to go wrestle
Yeah.
you and I.
For sure. Yeah. No, and that's kind of like you said, they're the team that's gonna hustle back to the center no matter if they're winning or losing. And then, that could mentally, kind of take a toll on you. You're scoring and they're not giving up anything easy, right? And so I think that you as a team, you don't necessarily change how you're wrestling. You just know that, you're going in to fight. It's gonna be a fight. When they came here last year, it was a fight, and so regardless of who they're wrestling, they're not going to shy away. Whether, like you said, they have, top five guys in the lineup, but even, they're guys who are maybe middle of the pack or, they're going to show that same effort. And so it's definitely going to be an exciting duel to watch.
So weight by weight, I mean, this is one that traditionally starts at 125. They're having it at the
Yep.
UNI Dome, which
Yep.
is their football stadium, and it's going to be full.
Yeah.
Iowa fans are UNI fans
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah.
wrestling Oklahoma State, so
Yeah.
they'll make the hour trip up to go
Yeah.
see to cheer against the Cowboys, won't they?
Yeah.
But it's going to be rowdy and it's cold in
Yeah.
that building, so that
Yeah.
definitely presents a challenge. But I think that if we go weight by weight, starting at 125 pounds, Troy Spratley doesn't have an easy one here against Trevor
No.
Anderson. He is 2-0
Yeah.
against him um, in the past, but Anderson has recently picked up some wins or some good wins and on a bit of a skid here against
Yeah.
the number one and number seven guys in the country, Richie
Right.
Figueroa and Steve O'Poulin. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, no, I think if I'm not mistaken, he beat Caleb Smith
he
in
did.
the match. And like I said, I think even 125 pounds is one of those weights where, um, anyone from number one to number, 15, 20, they're a wrestler that, you have to be on your A game when you're wrestling, and these kind of matches when there's, you're wrestling Friday, you're wrestling Sunday, you can kind of get lost in and having when you have two tough matches, you got to put it out there, for both matches. And like I said, this match, at 125 pounds, Spratley is 2-0 against them. But like I said, Trevor, obviously Anderson's going to want that match back, so he's definitely looking to snag one from Spratley. So just being ready to wrestle, I think is huge.
Without a doubt. So that's, if you start off here, kind of need the Troy Spratley spark
Yeah.
plug back for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, Cale Hughes actually moved into the rankings this week. He's not number 19 on Intermat. I don't know if anything official has come out on him taking the starting spot over Whitcraft.
Yeah.
I think they're still trying to sort that out, but
Yeah.
Lakers have to rank the guy that's wrestling, I guess.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weight class too where regardless of who's in there, Kale or Reese, they're going out and like you said, that's kind of one of the only weight class battles that I think, is taking place in the lineup. But a huge opportunities that Kale has had, in the past couple matches, and he's taken advantage of those, being able to beat NC State and then having that good win against West Virginia. So just Kale just continue to do what he does. I think he's in a good spot.
So for Northern Iowa, I don't. They're kind of in an interesting situation too. Corey Land is their normal starter who's ranked right now. He's number 20 in
Mhm.
the country. But the last several matches, Julian Farber's been the guy. They're
Yeah.
very similar. Farber's picked up some big wins along his time as a starter here.
Mhm.
And either way, um, you're kind of getting a similar guy if
Yeah.
you're whether you're whoever you're sitting out for OSU.
Yeah.
So similar situation, really. I think
Yeah.
that this is a one of those matches that could go any which way, depending
Right.
on who UNI sends. Hughes obviously has shown his ability to go out and execute well
Yeah.
against an opponent like Farber or
Yeah.
Land. And
Yeah.
then Whitcraft is just Reese Whitcraft is Reese Whitcraft,
Yeah.
right? He'll go down 7 points on you, and then he'll come back and win, or he'll
Yeah.
pull some crazy move, and
Yeah.
it just it
Yeah.
is what it is with him.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes Reese Reese. He's no matter who he's wrestling, he's not going to change how he's wrestling. So he's always a threat to score big points. And like I said, in dual meets, pins, majors, techs, those are all big. And so regardless, I think who they send out though, I think, it's just an opportunity and kind of to show, they're the guy at that weight.
Moving to 141, this is a top five matchup, a really, really big match for Tegan Jameson going out against number five, Cale Happel. Happel's 3-0 against Jameson.
Yeah.
Last season, they hit um, in the duel, and then at Big 12s and NCAAs, Happel actually got upset in round one
Yeah.
and got knocked down and Tegan had to wrestle him and
Yeah.
ended up going 0-2, So
Yeah.
all really close matches, 4-2 or 4-1. Um, Tegan seems to be putting things together
Yeah.
here recently, which makes him a bit more dangerous against Happel
Yeah.
if he's able to execute his offense. Happel
Yeah.
struggles against high pace guys and strong
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, no, and I think you said it there. It's Tegan has been wrestling a lot more confident this year. He's a guy who um, maybe just lacked a little experience last year, and I think that kind of maybe showed at the NCAA tournament. And obviously, he ran in some bad luck, right, with Happel losing um, his match and then having to meet him. But Tegan has been wrestling great this year, and has really been showing his offense. I think he's had bonus points in the last couple matches. So, I think he's flowing really nicely. And like I said, Happel is, he's hard nosed. He's hard to score on. He's gonna go and try to take it. So, um, I think that this matchup is, obviously Tegan, with not beating him, he has nothing. He's just gonna go out and wrestle, right? He has nothing to lose against him. He hasn't beat him yet. But I think that, like I said, Tegan puts himself in a really good spot with how he's been wrestling this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can go back to last year and say you hadn't beaten Dean Hamity
Yeah.
in your career up to the point you beat him twice last year, and
Yeah.
one of them was to make All-American. So,
Yeah.
um, these matches don't get wrestled on past results, do they?
Yeah. No. No. And like I said, this is a matchup too that is could go any way. Like a lot of these matches against you and I, they can go either way. If you wrestle them 10 times, you might have 10 different, results. And so I think that um it's just, you have to wrestle the match. And like I said, it's regardless of, what the ranking is, they're both going out to scrap.
Yeah. Uh, Big time top five matchup. That's definitely one of the highlights here for the duel, and one that it'd be nice to have for the Cowboys for sure.
Yeah.
Um, because again, yeah, that's showing a flip and it's showing a good opportunity and progression and development for the new
Yeah.
coaching staff for sure. Um, Carter Young taking on Colin Real Buto. This is a rematch from CKLV earlier this year where Carter Young scored a 14-4 major decision.
Yeah.
Real Buto, though, having a really nice streak here against some really quality competition in the dual schedule. He lost
Yeah.
to um, Ridge Lovett in the Nebraska duel, which is excusable.
Yeah.
But since then, he's been scoring bonus point wins, including this past weekend, got a big fall over a top 20 guy in Jesse
Yeah.
Vasquez from
Yeah.
Arizona State. So, um, gonna be an interesting matchup here if we see Carter Young again. I know he
Yeah.
was out for the last duel, but if he's healthy and can go, this is a big match for him to kind of solidify himself in the top 15 and it probably is a top 2 or 3 seed in the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said, they wrestled at CKLV, but I think dual meets are obviously different. That's you're going out and you're wrestling one match, right? So a lot of times you get guys who you may wrestle them in a tournament and you may, like you said, major them, right? But in a dual meet, especially in a high anticipated, a top ranked dual meet like this one is, I think Real Buto is coming out. He knows he lost, and I think it will be a little closer than that 14-4, just because knowing that it's one match, 7 minute match. They're coming out firing, and with how this dual meet stands, it's Carter. He's been a guy who, he's got some really, really good stuff on his feet, right? He's been able to show that on multiple occasions, and like you said, during that match with Rebuto at CKLV, he was able to get to his offense, and he just needs to do the same thing going into this match, and not really, um, you know, ranking wise, whatever it is, it's just going out and looking to score points. But I think that this Rebuto is definitely coming to wrestle.
Well, it's finishing for Carter Young. It
Yeah,
just and
yeah,
it has been for his career.
yeah,
He can get to legs, and he's proven
yeah,
multiple times in his now his fourth year at Stillwater. Um, he can get to anybody's legs.
yeah,
It's finishing that has always
yeah,
been kind of an issue. He seems to just not necessarily have a go-to that he can finish,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
He's decent in scrambles, but he's just so quick at
yeah,
hitting slide bys, going and getting a knee, and then from there, it just heavy hips are hard for him to get through.
yeah,
And Real Beto is a guy who um, has that ability. He a couple of years ago against Caden Gefeller, he really showed that. Like he showed that
yeah,
he's a guy that's going to keep you from finishing on him. He's going to have tough defense. His brother at Cornell was the same way. It was
yeah,
really tough to score on. His New York kids kind of have trouble,
yeah,
but at the same time, it seems to just be something that Carter's continuing to work on, continuing to just get past a bit of a mental block there on
yeah,
finding a way through.
yeah,
So
and yeah, I think that, like you said, the not the easy part, but getting to the leg is the first part of it, and finishing is just at this level, in wrestling, it's a whole nother thing. You get to the leg, but you got to be able to finish, especially on the top ranked guys. If you want to beat them, if you get to that leg, you have to finish that takedown.
taking full advantage of every opportunity you get to score
Yeah,
points, I think, is
yeah,
the secret, and it's
yeah,
tough. I can sit here in my office chair and say, well, he needs to,
yeah,
but I know it's hard.
yeah,
Um, and hey, it's just something that for him to reach his goals that we know he has, because
yeah,
we all everybody thinks the world of Carter Young.
yeah,
Um, uh, he's just going to have to layer in those things and just continue to get better. And I know he's
yep,
got the coaches and the
yeah,
resources to do that. So
for sure.
it's just a matter of executing. And hey, if he fails to execute on Friday, then he'll get another good chance on Sunday, and then he'll get another really good chance in March. Is really when it
Yep,
counts, right? So,
exactly.
157, another massive matchup. This is a big, big opportunity for Caleb Fish to really go out and show what he's capable of. This is probably his toughest match so far of the season, matching up against number four Ryder Downey, Iowa native that is just been on fire since he came into the
Yeah,
lineup last year for the Panthers. He's All American. He's been really good for them. Was a bit of a surprise as an unheralded recruit,
yeah,
and you and I finds those just
yeah,
diamonds.
yeah. I was about to say, yeah. They'll recruit guys who you don't necessarily know a ton about. Um, but they kind of see a vision in them, and like I said, they trust Coach Schwab's process, and that it's I think Downey is a perfect example. Um, he's a guy who came into the lineup and immediately made an impact for him, and has just continuously gotten better, and I think this matchup is an exciting one to look forward to because Fish is a different kind of wrestler. He's real strong and he likes upper body stuff. And Downey is more staying in good position and getting to his attacks. And so I'm really interested to see kind of how this matchup kind of folds out.
Yeah. Well, saying that, I mean, having the strength of a guy like Fish and working in some leg attacks over the past few weeks that since that Hippolito match, he's
Yeah,
really started to layer in some more leg attacks and a bit stronger offense.
yeah,
But yeah, against Downey, I mean, Downey has the same kind of thing going that, we'll talk about him in a bit, but Parker Keckheisen, that he just seems deeply unpleasant to wrestle.
yeah,
Constant motion, constant hand fighting.
yeah.
Um, but you run into a bit of a brick wall like
Hmm.
Caleb Fish. I am curious to see how that could play out. I think that, um,
Yeah.
you know,
I think, and also I think one of the most impressive matches I saw Downey wrestle was last year in the Big 12 finals. against Chittum, and he rode Chittum for the whole period, and then in rideouts. He's tough on top, and that I think that'll be a big test for Fish. He's a hammer on top, and if Fish can escape, I think this match, will be even more interesting than it already is. If he can get out on bottom and get to his attacks, then I think he puts himself in a good position to win the match.
165 pounds, we got Cam Amin taking on number 21, Jack Thompson. Thompson, similar story. He's, kind of a unheralded guy, has been around for a little while at Northern Iowa and uh, goes out and wrestles really tough matches. This is another rematch from CKLV where he took Amin to a sudden victory.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, I know Cam is looking, to put more points on the board against Thompson, but like I said, Thompson's a tough wrestler. Um, I remember wrestling him last year in the Big 12s, and he's just continuously looking to score, and being able to, I think what will be big for Cam is being able to get a first period takedown. I think that puts him in a really good position, because then I think that just allows him to open up a little more. And I think that um, being able to do that is gonna be beneficial for him. But like I said, Thompson, he comes out to wrestle, and I think this will also be a fairly good match.
Is it beneficial for Cam to have you there? You've wrestled all these guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm like I said, I'm just in there if, any kind of guidance or partners that they need. And just being able to also watch them in practice is big. I know that, like I said, Fish, Amin, and Hamity, we were all in the same bracket at NCAs last year. And so
Mhm.
now it's all, we're all in the same row of lockers. So it's been kind of cool to see. And like I said, they're all awesome people, and their work ethic is second to none. They're in there, and you can tell that the reason why they came to Oklahoma State was to win.
So looking at 174 here, this is again where Oklahoma State's going to be needing bonus points,
Yeah,
quite frankly, because you look at the previous six that we just talked about, and there are a lot of toss-ups. You know, Thompson, he did beat you last year, right?
yeah,
Um, Something he's certainly capable of here, pushing to over. He's just again really, really hard to score on. Um, Downey is the favorite over Fish. Happel, Jameson is a toss-up. So young Robito's a toss-up. So if you lose, three, four of those,
yeah,
which don't anticipate,
yeah,
but you also need Hamity. You need the bonus points from your bonus point scoring machines here, and
yeah,
they none of them have a very good, or excuse me, a very easy path to doing.
yeah,
Starting here with Hamity taking on Jared Sima. Sima was the surprise, last minute addition to the NCAA tournament last year. Wrestled to the round of 12.
yeah,
He upset a guy on the top side, and really a great story for him. And he's having a pretty solid season so far this year. He's 12-6 on the year, ranked number 16.
yeah,
Um, Presents an
yeah.
interesting challenge for Hamity.
Yeah, I think so. I think that obviously, I don't think anyone in the 174-pound weight class wrestles anyone um, anything like, DJ, and I think he presents kind of his own challenge. But like I said, Sima's a guy who, fits this Northern Iowa kind of MO. There he's gonna go out and he's gonna scrap. And he's had tough matches with a lot of really good guys. Um, and like I said, this is, a match where essentially, you're looking for bonus points for DJ, but like I said, he's gonna have to work for it. And like I was saying earlier, his bonus points come a little later. It may take him a period or a period and a half, but he's gonna find his offense. And um, I think we, you know, DJ will be able to find that, and hopefully, come out with some bonus.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm looking here at Sima's results so far this year, and he's got some really high quality wins. He's 2-1 against Cade DeVos
Yeah,
from South Dakota State, who was the two seed at the tournament
yeah,
last year. Um, he beat Lenny Pinto from Nebraska 14-8. Um,
Yeah.
lost to him in the duel, 6-5. So that to your point earlier about tournaments being different than duels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but he's putting together a nice season again. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
he's going to be a tough guy to go score a lot of points on. He doesn't give up many bonus points. He hasn't given up any
No.
bonus points this season.
Yeah.
So, but to your point as well, Hamity has been on fire. He,
Yeah.
has had a couple of struggles against really high quality guys, Gavin
Right.
Sachs, and but that's whatever. Those
Yeah.
are those are super strong
Yeah.
guys. So, but yeah, gonna need it
Yep.
because you move into 184 and you've got what is this round 6 now for Dustin Plott taking on Parker Keckheisen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it seems like they every time, tournament or whatever, they're wrestling, and it's in the finals because they're two of the best in the weight class. And um, like I said, I think obviously Keckeisen, he is a hammer. He goes out and he looks to score points, and he wants bonus, and I think Plot has just been getting better and better. And I think the more times he wrestles Keckeisen, he figures something else out, right? Like I think the first time he wrestled him in Gallagher, there was he was able to take him down a few times. And then at Big 12 it probably wasn't his best match, and he probably wants that match. Obviously he's had some opportunities since then, but I think he just figures out something new about him, each time they wrestle, and just continue to work on stuff in the practice room. And um, like I said, I think this match is always something that you bookmark. And when you have two of the best wrestlers in the weight class wrestling, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Well, I think credit to both of them for just
Yeah,
continuing to do it.
yeah,
Um, in this
for
day and
sure.
age, you have a lot of guys who wouldn't.
Yeah,
They'd say, "Ah, hold me out for the duel,"
yeah,
or the coach would decide to do that.
yeah,
Or at CKLV, they would have forfeited.
yeah.
And to for both of them, neither of them really gain anything from wrestling each other.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
That's
they show
that's
up.
Yeah, no, and that's what it is. I think that you can really respect, a wrestler that goes out and puts it on the line. That when, like you said, they necessarily don't have to, but they do it. And a ton of respect for both of these guys for continuously putting it out on the line. And it makes it, like I said, dual meets are fun. It makes it fun for the fans to be able to watch a top three matchup.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this matchup again, and um, there's a lot. We're all just massive Dustin Plot fans because
Hmm.
just the quality of that person is
Yeah,
just. But it was a. I really hope he finds a way to just get over this hump and gets
yeah,
that win on Friday. And I was like, well, if you have to pick one time, I'll take Friday night in Philadelphia.
exactly.
You know.
Yeah, yeah,
So if he loses this one, that's okay. If he loses in
yeah,
Tulsa, that's okay.
yeah.
Just because it's kind of predetermined. This is a Friday night matchup
Yep.
in
Yeah.
Philadelphia, and
Yeah. And
let's
you,
get that one.
yeah, you only got to beat them once. You only got to beat them
Yes,
once.
that's right. So at the same time, would love to see Dustin get over this hump.
Yeah.
Keck just again seems deeply, deeply unpleasant to wrestle. The
Yeah.
constant just forward motion. He gets his head in there. He, uses it as a
Yeah.
weapon or a
Yeah.
third club, it seems.
Yeah.
And it's not just, it's just that's who he is. And that's really what you and I is good at,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just going out there and making it so that you don't want to step on the mat against him.
Exactly.
Um, and I don't know who's coaching that there. Dean or Drew Foster was the same way though.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of that is just um, their ethos.
Yeah.
And also credit to Parker Keckheisen on sticking around at UNI
Yeah.
because in
For
this day
sure.
and age, I'm sure he was getting calls left and right from
Oh yeah.
every other program that has money to
Yeah.
spend and saying, "Hey,
Exactly.
come here and he just no thanks. I'm going to stick around and be at Northern Iowa and this is what I'm at." And credit to all these guys on that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's true with Ryder Downey. It's true with Kale Happel.
Yeah.
And our next guy we're talking about, Wyatt Volker, same thing. They're
Yep.
all super talented. And, um,
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by their program at this point.
Yeah. And that just, kudos to the coaching staff as well for being able to, put that, team foundation in there. And like I said, they're all bought in, and so I think that's something to really respect and kudos to them.
For sure. So the next one here, Wyatt Volker and Luke Serber hitting again. I think this will be the third time that they've matched up with them splitting the previous two.
Yeah,
Volker won at Big 12s last year, which we're seeing a much different Luke Serber now than
yeah,
we did at the end of last season.
yeah,
Luke won at the duel in 2023,
hmm
2-1. So Volker, really, really tough wrestler,
yeah,
guy who hard to score points on, somebody that um, is going to push you to 7 minutes. He's 12-3 on the year. He's severely underrated at
yeah,
14. But it's a deep weight class, and
yeah,
Volker is definitely going to come out and make it tough against Luke Serber.
yeah. And like you said, they've every time I think they've wrestled, it's been well. The Big 12 match was, um, I think Volker kind of caught Luke on his back, but
Yeah,
um, they're Luke is wrestling at a totally different level. That's Luke I go with a lot in practice, and he's a guy who is you know, one of those guys you don't necessarily want to wrestle because you feel like you get to a leg and it's a whole nother battle, getting to that leg. He's tough to score on. He's a hammer on top and I like I said, I think he's been wrestling, really good and just kind of flowing, right? I think
yeah,
you can kind of see that in his wrestling. He's regardless if he's getting taken down, he's getting up and he's just looking for the next point. And um, I think he's wrestling with confidence, and I think that presents a different Luke than that's wrestled in the past against Volker. And um, like I said, I think it's this is also like I said an exciting matchup, and um, excited for this one.
for Luke, I think it's really just Volker's not necessarily a guy you're going to win your scrambles with.
Yeah,
I think that creating your own offense here is going to be a key for him, and then doing his thing on top. Volker
yeah,
still kind of struggles at getting out
yeah,
from bottom, so I think that Luke can win that one. And if it's 2-1, then hey, that's a
yeah,
win. So,
yeah,
but I think that going out and creating your own offense, winning those 50-50 positions is where this match is going to get won for sure. And I think that Luke has an advantage
yeah,
in that one
100%.
this year.
Yep.
Um, then you got Wyatt Hendrickson, Lance Runyon. Again, nobody's having more fun in college wrestling than Wyatt
Yeah.
Hendrickson.
Yeah.
But Lance Runyon up from 174 pounds to heavyweight. He's on a bit of a bulk journey
Yeah, I
himself.
was. I thought he maybe had a brother or something because I remember when I was at NIU, we wrestled Northern Iowa, and our 74-pounder wrestled a Runyon, and and I was thinking, I was like, man, does he have a brother or something? But yeah, he made that jump, and like I said, he's been wrestling pretty well. He's running some tough matches, but making that jump, I couldn't even imagine going up from 74s to now wrestling the biggest guys in college wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, his losses are to Colton Schultz, Isaac Trumbull, and Jim Mullen from Virginia Tech. So
Yeah,
they're not bad losses, and he's got some
yeah,
pretty impressive wins too over
yeah,
Harley Andrews, is a
yeah,
name Oklahomans are familiar with,
yeah,
Luke Rasmussen. So he's
yeah,
had some really good wins.
yeah.
The
I
Missouri
think.
guy,
Yeah, I think being able to, you wrestle at, I wouldn't say 174 is like a smaller weight, but you learn how to move down there and making that jump up to 285. And obviously he's probably not touching 285, but it's, he's wrestled as a quote unquote smaller guy. And, maybe some of these, heavyweights he's just a faster, heavyweight. So,
for
but
sure.
Wyatt is the exact same. He's quick, he's offensive, he's explosive, and like you said, he's having a ton of fun, and it's been super fun to be able to watch him.
Yeah, realistically, I see this one ending in less than 7 minutes because
Yeah,
that's just Wyatt doesn't want to wrestle 7 minutes, and
yeah, yeah,
he goes and makes that happen. Um,
yeah,
but I don't want to take anything away from running here. You can really, and then I also encourage everybody to go look at his match this last weekend against Colton Schultz, and you can
yeah,
really see the variance of guys in this weight class because Colton Schultz is a guy that cuts to 285,
yeah,
and then he's a massive human being.
yeah,
And then you've got Runyon, who probably weighs 220,
yeah,
if we're being honest. So, Wyatt is at 260, probably on full feed.
yeah,
and I think he's going to do what he's been doing this year against
Yeah.
guys like this. I mean, we saw it against Isaac Trumbull. He at CKLV he turned him over and pinned him. At the duel, Trumbull pushed him to 7 minutes, but it wasn't really competitive.
Yeah.
So I think that for Runyon, it's going to be a how do I avoid bonus points? And
Yeah.
against White Hendrickson, I don't think you can necessarily do
No.
that.
Yeah. And I
So
think going into that matchup, if the thought process is, don't get major, don't get pinned, like
you're going to get
chances
pinned.
are, yeah, you're gonna get pinned. So
Yeah. So I think the duel could come down to that though.
yeah. Yeah.
So I really think you need bonus points from Hendrickson, from Hamity,
Yeah.
and then you need to pull some wins here in the toss ups.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see him get bonus points.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see Spratley get bonus points
Yep.
as well. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're looking at a 6-4 duel, and
Yeah.
sometimes those can not go your way. So.
Yeah.
This is going to be a close one. I think this is the biggest test of the season. I think if you even look ahead at Iowa, that's going to be a really tough duel. But UNI just matches up a lot better in a duel
Yeah.
with Oklahoma State this year. I think that their strength matches OSU's strength, and I
Yeah.
think that it's going to be a really competitive matchup. And I want to implore Oklahoma State fans that may not have been keeping up over the past 3, 4, 5 years, or may only look at the results but listen to this podcast. I think that there probably aren't many of those. Uh, but don't freak out if it's a 19-14 duel, right? Like it doesn't mean that Oklahoma State's not that good, and then don't let
Yeah.
that name fool you either. Like it's Northern
Yeah.
Iowa, they FCS, they're not a major program. Why are they competitive with Oklahoma State? Are we not actually that good? No, Oklahoma State's that good, but UNI
Yeah.
is also that good.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm sorry, UNI. I know you're in Northern Illinois. Is that's NIU though, right?
NIU. Yep. Yep.
Okay. That's the differentiator. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I know the South Dakota State, San Diego State folks
Yeah.
get that
SDSU. Yeah.
confuses everybody. So
Yeah.
um, anyway, going to be a great duel Friday night on Flow Wrestling. I'm sure Secret on Flow Wrestling, you can go sign up through one of their other affiliates, Flow Marching, Flow Grappling, and pay month to month. So if you don't want to sign up for a full year of Flow because you're not
Oh,
a freak like me,
yeah.
then you can go pay month to month and we're hitting a sweet spot as well where
Yeah.
you've got Flow Wrestling, this duel, and probably a couple other events are going to be on Flow Wrestling. They do a great job covering the whole sport.
Yeah.
If you're into wrestling, you got to have Flow. But uh, Oklahoma State baseball will be on Flow here in a few weeks, and then the softball team has their first few events on Flow as well. So this is a sweet
Sweet.
spot where you can pay for 1 month, get a lot of Oklahoma State content.
Yeah.
So Sunday, the folks are heading over to Ames to complete the in-conference Iowa trip. Um, Iowa State has been doing a lot of lineup shuffling this year. Kind of an interesting spot. There are three marquee matchups that I want to touch on in this one. That I think that the Pokes are going to have their hands full with, and have a couple of really good opportunities though to go out and establish themselves. So um, we'll only hit those three, but it's going to be a bit of a tighter duel than we've gotten used to as well. Iowa State always pretty tough. They
Yeah.
consider it. I mean, it is a rivalry historically, and Iowa State's is going into Ames and winning is not always easy now. There for about a decade they were in the lost in the desert, but now the last 5 years they've been really good. So, um, starting off, Cale Hughes gets a shot at number 6, Evan Frost. Evan Frost really bust on the scene last year, finishing on top of or not on top of it, but he finishes an All American. Um, Louisiana native. So Iowa State goes and finds these guys like this. So
Yeah.
Louisiana guy who is really, really stingy uh, defensively. So he's really
Yeah.
hard to score points on, but that's not really a strange thing for Cale Hughes, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's like I said, that's a really good matchup for Kale and a really good opportunity if he gets that. And like you said, Frost is, he showed last year, he's definitely someone who can go out and pull upsets. And he wrestled a lot of top guys, really tough. And like you said, he's really good defensively. He can score from just about anywhere. He's dedicated to riding on top. And he's a guy that I think will have somewhat of the same success as he did last year. Because he just puts it out there every match. And like I said, that's just a really big opportunity for Kale.
You've got Carter Young taking on Paniro Johnson here. Paniro was an All-American a couple of years ago. Last year he had a red shirt to give, but he was suspended with the gambling stuff. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
all so. Iowa is a different place with
yeah,
with the rules.
yeah,
But uh, Pinheiro having a really good year this year, 11-2, mostly up at 157 pounds, but he's cut down to 149.
yeah,
And another big test for Carter. Hopefully he's healthy. I don't really know what's going on
yeah.
there, but he's got a big weekend.
Yeah, I think I saw too that the Panero Johnson wrestled a match at like 165 this year too. He's been, and that's what you kind of want in a guy, someone who's willing to, bump up 2 weight classes or, cut down a weight and really a team guy. And that kind of, I think, shows kind of the guy he is. And like I said, a big opportunity for Carter as well. He's got, a tough weekend ahead, but I think it's just being able to take it, one match at a time and, wrestle the match on Friday, worry about that. And then when Sunday comes, be able to, perform on Sunday as well. I think Pinero is, real explosive and, scores points. But, I think if Carter can stay solid and get to, his attacks, I think, he's in a good position to pull out an upset here.
For sure. That's just ultimately what it is with Carter Young. Just
Yeah.
let's see him finish. Let's see him ride well.
Yeah.
Pinheiro is definitely susceptible to that.
Yeah.
Caleb Fish measured him 11-0
Yeah.
at CKLV. So I think that if you're able to get a takedown, you're able to hold your guy down, then you're able to just create from there.
Yeah.
Um, Force him to wrestle from behind, then you've got a really good shot
Yeah.
against him. So will be nice to see. You got Caleb Fish taking on number 8, Cody Chittum. So a big weekend for Caleb Fish to again move himself into the top 10 and show like, hey, I've been a blood round guy a couple times in my career. Haven't necessarily made the jump, but I came to Oklahoma State to get the resources to get there, and
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the reason why he came to Oklahoma State. With the partners he's able to practice with, and the coaching staff, and that's he wants to make that jump, and he's been wrestling. He's been wrestling well, and I think Chittum is a guy who you're going into that match. You're going to wrestle a hard 7 minutes. And I think Fish can match that. He can match the pace. He can slow it down if he wants to with how he wrestles, and so. I think if Fish goes out there and wrestles, how he's been wrestling, I think he puts himself in a really good position to pull out a win here as well. And like I said, this would uh be an upset, right? With Fish at 12 and Chittum at 8, but I think on paper too, I think they're pretty evenly matched.
For sure. I think that they're similar styles.
Yeah,
Chittum is definitely an upper body guy as well, very
yeah,
strong.
yeah,
So I think that for them, it's a matter of who's going to break. I think
yeah,
like who's going
yeah,
to get in the best position and who's going to have the laps. And
yeah,
I don't think Fish is the guy that's going to have that. He's so experienced and
yeah,
mature at this
yeah,
point. To Chittum, who's a sophomore, and
yeah,
in these kind of situations, you tend to like the older guy. But man, yeah, Chittum is tough. He's
yeah,
definitely proven that over the last year. And coming out of redshirt this year, he's
yeah,
definitely they needed him, and he's out there and he's going to do it. So
yeah,
um, it's a really interesting weight. And then the
yeah,
last one I want to touch on is Luke Serber and Christian Carroll. Former teammates. Christian Carroll obviously decided to transfer with the changes in the coaching staff. They hit at CKLV, and Serber got the 2-0 win.
mhm,
We haven't seen Carroll in a few weeks,
yeah,
so I think that this is definitely one that it just creates some intrigue. here
Yeah.
of stories and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of speculation in the offseason, right, on or before on who would be the starter at Oklahoma
Yeah.
State. Um, but a chance for Luke to say, "Hey, this was my spot, and I'm the better guy anyway." So
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, when obviously they were teammates, and that in itself makes an intriguing matchup. And obviously I think Christian hasn't wrestled the way he's wanted to this year. With some things not going his way, or however you want to put it. But he's still a really good wrestler. And I think that regardless of record wise or ranking wise, he presents a challenge to really anyone that he wrestles. But like I said, I think Serber is, he's solid on top, on his feet. If he can get to the leg, or and even if guys are on his legs, he's on the offense. So that presents, I think, a challenge for Christian. And like I said, this is definitely a match that I think a lot of people are excited for. And um, like I said, I think Serber is also being able to go out there and put a stamp on it and be assertive. I think he kind of wants to open it up a little more and score takedowns and open up the score.
yeah, well, I think Serber's length has to give Christian
Yeah,
Carroll fits.
yeah,
But Carroll's he's a brick wall, right?
yeah, yeah,
But heck, I don't know if there's been a stronger guy really
yeah,
at OSU in a while.
yeah,
The Ferrari Cody Merrill is extremely strong,
yeah,
but Carroll just hasn't necessarily shown the offensive ability that you kind of expected from a guy who can wrestle at the level that he does in freestyle.
yeah,
Just hasn't really translated to folk style, and then he may just be a tweener. He may be a
yeah,
220 guy. That
yeah,
that's where he's comfortable. That's where he needs to be, and he may be one of those guys that doesn't do much in college, but then makes a Olympic team,
yeah,
maybe in Greco
yeah,
or heck in freestyle in
yeah.
2032. You
Yeah,
know,
and Christian, I think when he made that drop down from heavyweight to 97, it just seemed that he didn't lose like any, like he got slimmer or whatever, but he just seemed like he didn't lose any muscle.
Mm,
He was freaking strong and explosive, and like you said, presents a challenge for a lot of people. And but I think that length in this matchup is presents somewhat of a challenge for Christian. And I just am excited to watch this match again.
yeah, it's going to be a good one. So Iowa State again. That's going to be on ESPN Plus on Sunday at 2 o'clock. So again, Iowa State's really good. Not quite as good as you and I. I don't
Yeah,
expect this duel to be as close, but things could go their way. They call it Hilton Magic there in
yeah,
Ames. So they've got a thing there that weird things happen. So I wouldn't put anything past this duel either. So keep an eye on it. Should be really fun weekend. And again, massive test for the Cowboys before they kind of throttle down going into the last couple weeks of the season. They've still got very difficult duels with Missouri, who's always going to be tough. They're down this year. They're still going to be tough. And then Iowa to cap off the season. So going to be a interesting journey as we close
yeah,
things out in the first year of the David Taylor regime.
yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely looking forward to these two dual meets.
Well, Isaac, thank you so much for taking the time to come out. I know you're a busy man with coaching, school, training, all that fun stuff. Make sure to go check out cowgirlwrestling.com. Support the Cowgirls. They are doing massive, massive things with building a program and building a sport. We need the biggest brand in the sport to have a program, and the club is the way to start that. And having a guy like you in charge is a massive start to the building the thing. So
Yeah,
really excited about what you're doing.
yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on and talk some cowboy wrestling too.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for going through that. I think that
Yeah,
you added some amazing perspectives. So
yeah.
um all right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will see y'all next week.